Dopamine. Before getting into dopamine detox, let's start with the information about the dopamine hormone. Dopamine hormone is produced in the substantia nigra, ventral tegmental area and hypothalamus of the brain. The dopamine hormone is a neurotransmitter that sends signals from one nerve cell to the target nerve cells. The brain needs neurotransmitters to perform necessary functions, like regulating and stabilizing the body. Dopamine hormone also goes by other names, such as pleasure hormone or feel-good hormone. Dopamine handles your happiness or pleasure activities. This hormone gets released when you perform activities that make you feel happy. For example, if you are receiving a surprise gift on your birthday, the dopamine hormone initiates sudden excitement while receiving the gift. Let's start with knowledge about the dopamine hormone before moving on to dopamine detox. The brain's substantia nigra, ventral tegmental region, and hypothalamus all create the dopamine hormone. The neurotransmitter dopamine acts as a messenger between source and target nerve cells. Neurotransmitters are essential for the brain to carry out essential tasks including stabilizing and regulating the body. The dopamine hormone is also known as the pleasure hormone or feel-good hormone. Your feelings of pleasure or happiness are controlled by dopamine. When you engage in happy-making activities, this hormone is released. For instance, when you receive a surprise gift on your birthday, the dopamine hormone causes a surge in excitement. What is detox from dopamine? Most people consider dopamine detox to be a form of fasting. However, there will be a change in the daily routine rather than restrictions on eating habits. Dopamine hormone synthesis is controlled by fasting. Initially, dopamine detox can be practiced for a few hours, then, over time can extend to weeks or months. Why is a dopamine detox necessary? The dopamine hormone controls joyful or pleasurable feelings, as was already established. Once the enjoyable activities are finished, a feeling of pleasure or well-being remains. Unless it develops into an addiction, this is not a concern. If you grow addicted to it, the need to engage in joyful activities starts to cycle repeatedly. The number of joyful actions rises gradually, followed by contentment and eagerness to carry out additional happy actions. This loop turns into an addiction when it occurs more frequently, like while playing video games. If you have an addiction, you should figure out how to overcome it. Dopamine detox in this way aids in reducing cyclic movement. Dopamine detox aids in disengaging from. How well does a dopamine detox? Its functions. However, during a dopamine detox, a person should refrain from dopamine triggers for a set amount of time, which might range from an hour to many days. It's important to realize that a complete dopamine detox, in which the brain stops producing any more dopamine, is not always possible and can occasionally result in detox from dopamine effects. The following are thought to be a few outcomes of dopamine detoxification. Learning. Dopamine is a brain chemical that controls memory and pleasure and can be used to improve students' motivation and attention span. It can even improve the effectiveness of your learning when used appropriately. Motivation. Dopamine regulates motivation, causing individuals to start and work assiduously to achieve their goals. Dopamine is the main brain neurotransmitter in charge of motivation. However, in addition to making a person feel exhausted and angry, a low dopamine level also leads to a number of mental health issues. Sleep. A dopamine detox aids in improved sleep. It prevents the overproduction of dopamine molecules and controls how well people sleep. Dopamine and serotonin are commonly mentioned in relation to mood.